Welcome back to the Accountability Hour, the podcast where we tackle double standards, self-improvement, and the messy realities of relationships. This is Lynn Watchhorn. Why playing hard to get never works. I still see this dating advice being given out to women, but especially during a time where we have infinite options, or at least the perception of it, where we can easily replace people because of dating apps. We just don't have the patience for confusion anymore. And I feel like men feel this on a much deeper level. Also, a lot of men take dating very seriously, so if there's confusion, they just avoid it. A lot of modern men they're not bored, they're just very tired. They've already dealt with mixed signals, avoidant partners, and just emotional unavailability, and they're not looking for that anymore. They never were to begin with, but the tolerance they once had is now gone. They see a woman that's playing hard to get, and he sees her as future stress, so he just writes her off immediately, no matter how great of a woman she could have been for him. I mean, can you really blame men for that, though? And yes, some women would come after me and be like, oh, I play hard to get with so-and-so and it worked. But what I've noticed is sometimes when people are unhealthy, they may reward that behavior for a little while, but it only works for so long. What of a lot of these women that claim to be pushing femininity and raising your standards type of content? They never tell these ladies that they're giving advice to what the long-term effects of that type of behavior has. I've seen some women play hard to get and they get the guy. Great. Now what? They have to constantly play these games with him and they can't fully settle into being themselves. They have to keep doing it. The upkeep is ridiculous and it's just not sustainable long-term. But you never see these women coaches telling these women that. Because if your relationship starts and the foundation is built on chaos, it's going to require chaos permanently to sustain itself. And for a lot of women, they value security. You can't have a relationship built on security if you're playing games and playing hard to get. And yes, there's some men who enjoy the chase of trying to get a woman, but a lot of men would rather chase their goals or go hang out with friends. Men who want peace leave these situations early. Because the reality of a relationship that's healthy is you guys are going to go through difficult times. And if the whole relationship's a game and constant stress, he's not going to enjoy it very much. It also punishes the exact men a lot of women say they want. They want the healthy man that respects boundaries, that reads cues, and they don't sit and push them when they're not invited into situations. But the funny thing is these types of men, when the interest isn't clear, they back off permanently. Because they want to respect your boundaries. Or if a man like this does stay long term, you hurt him. Because going through a relationship where there's constant mixed signals isn't fun or exciting. It can often be very painful. Next, I know a lot of women who are like, oh, well, self-respect says I won't overinvest early. I won't overfunction. And they don't realize that there's a happy middle ground between all of these things. Yeah, you don't go on the first date and give him $1 million, but I mean, making him some cookies or something on the first date's perfectly reasonable. But when you play hard to get, you basically tell him subconsciously, you don't get warmth unless you earn it. Seriously? If you go to a restaurant, the waiter or waitress, you're nice to them, right? You're nice to random people on the street, right? You're nice to your coworkers, right? Okay, how is that not the same thing? How is it he has to earn common courtesy, decency, basic respect? But these people don't have to. You see the discrepancy there? Also, instead of, enjoying the time that you guys have together, the dates, and getting to know each other, and seeing if you're a good fit for each other, when you're playing hard to get, it's a strategy. So there's no space for you to have authentic desire for the man. And it destroys chemistry. That's why I think, the first couple dates, yes, you're trying to get to know each other. Yeah, you're going to ask questions and stuff. But I feel like a lot of it's just go out and have fun. Go enjoy your coffee. Try a new one. Do something like that where you're showing the other person what it looks like to be with you in good moments, not where you're playing a game. Unless you go to the arcade, of course. Also, dating is a lot of work for men, especially in the beginning. Because he has to impress you. He has to pay for the food, pay for the coffee, pay for the event. I mean, I guess he doesn't have to, but he often plans it, gets ready, make sure it's something you're going to like, look into things. Dating is a lot of work for men. If you're adding to that by playing hard to get, I mean, he's going to get exhausted fast. And if dating feels like a ton of work before he even has commitment with you, he's just going to assume that it's going to get a lot worse later. And so they'll opt out early. Because for a lot of people, the early stages of dating, it's like, okay, this is the best it's going to get. Because a lot of behaviors we have when we're getting to know someone is not always sustainable, to be real. But yeah, a lot of men, they see this distance and they're like, oh, she's not that interested in me. So they move on. I've seen women that sit and play games with him and then they get super upset and they're like venting about how he's distant and doesn't seem that interested in her. And it's like, well, you weren't even showing interest. So why would he be interested in you? Why would he chase you? He doesn't even know you. Also, playing hard to get relies on loss. It's fear-based attraction, which also it's not sustainable. It fades quickly. It creates insecurity. And it encourages resentment. If he feels like he had to sit there and earn you, and then you guys do end up in a relationship, great, happy times, right? He probably still has some resentment from that. Because he remembers how rudely you treated him when you were playing hard to get. He remembers that he had to earn you. That you put yourself on a pedestal. One that's probably not deserved, let's be real here. Not only that, but it sets him up for failure because if he doesn't pass your test, if he doesn't do X, Y, Z and you find out or it's not good enough for you, you're going to throw him away like he's a piece of garbage. And a lot of men instinctively already know that, which puts him on eggshells, which makes everything more complicated. Also, in the early stages, you kind of want a little bit of the momentum where you guys are gradually opening up to each other. So you doing delayed replies, limited availability on purpose, and trying to confuse him, that kills the natural build of you two getting to know each other. Also, whether or not it's true, if you're really distant and weird with him and playing games, he's gonna assume you've been through a lot. Like a lot. And he's gonna be like, okay, I don't want to be her therapist. I'm gonna opt out of this right now. It also assumes that men are required to chase you by default. And if he doesn't know you, he's not gonna have that much interest and reasoning to chase you. I mean, he shouldn't anyways, but men tend to chase things they're interested in. That's why you see men prioritize their hobbies, their work, things that they care about. And if he doesn't know you, how is he supposed to care about you? And it fails once men have options, because there are healthy women out there that won't play games, and men see that and they're like, oh, she's definitely who I want to be around. She's blunt enough. She tells me what's wrong. I don't have to walk on eggshells. Life is hard enough as it is. If you're that type of woman that brings peace into a man's life, holy cow, you could have almost any man you want. Also, you're setting him up to not respect your boundaries. If he chases long enough, he realizes, okay, you only respond to pressure and not connection. So, little decisions come up in your guys' relationship, and he's like, okay, all I have to do is pressure her. All I have to do is push her. That's what works on her. When she says no, no doesn't mean no. No means yes. No means this. No means whatever I want it to mean. So you're actually training men to devalue you in a way. And this was all caused by you playing these weird games and playing hard to get. Also, you want the man to trust you? Well, playing games is dishonesty. And I mean, who wants to be with a dishonest person? I mean, if you get married or have a long-term relationship with someone, they see a lot of personal information if you're living with them. I mean, you don't want to just trust anybody with that kind of information, that involvement in your life. So yeah, not being able to trust a woman, huge turnoff. Also, what I've noticed is a lot of women that play hard to get, they're so used to distance, when it's actually time for them to show up and be a partner, they don't know how. You don't know how to have those vulnerable conversations. You don't know how to make those decisions with him. You don't know how to make the necessary sacrifices to keep your relationship going. And a lot of men already know this, so that's why they will avoid you. Sometimes stability, sometimes your resume being boring is what gets you the job. I mean, if you think about it, like rentals, great example. Landlords almost want your application to be a little bit boring. They don't want you to have all these like charges or late payments or delinquencies. They don't want to see evictions, like all of those things. They weigh all of that. But when they check your resume or your application and it's kind of just blank and boring, it's like, oh, they always pay their bills. They have a good credit score. Wow, this is a boring application. They're going to pick you. Oh, they got enough income. Great. Because people want stability. And yeah, some novelty's fun too. That's why you guys go to the amusement park. That's why you play some Mario Kart and have some popcorn or something. Novelty can be brought into the relationship easy, but stability is often hard to find. And when you play hard to get, You communicate the opposite of stability to him. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who might benefit from it. If you'd like more content from me, I have a YouTube and a Patreon.